Good afternoon. We're going to be making an almond cake today because I have way too much almond flour from when we tried to make macarons. So today we're going to be using some almond flour, eggs of course, brown sugar, some pecans, vanilla flavoring, apples because it's that time of year, and of course sugar because it's a cake. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is have all your ingredients ready to go, first off. Starting with your egg yolks and the sugar. I'm going to have the sugar down below. I'm just going to pop in my egg yolks, which this is really the reverse way of doing things, and kind of just cream those together. You can use a whisk, you can use chopsticks, I use a fork. Just kind of making sure that's all mixed, nice and creamed together. Make sure it's nice and fast. The egg yolks will start turning this bright yellow color. And now your egg whites, I use a stand mixer, some people use a hand mixer. I mean, if you have the willpower, use a whisk. Putting in our egg whites. And just turning this on to probably medium low, just to start it out because you don't want it to splash. Then increasing speed. While that's whisking, go ahead and add in a splash or about a teaspoon of your vanilla extract. And while that's still whisking, you can go ahead and add your almond flour to your yolk. That looks good. And turn that off. Actually, we're going to turn it on low, and we're going to add almond flour to the whites as well. So just turn that off, kind of fold that all in, because with the whites you don't want to knock out all that air. And I'm mixing that all together, folding it in, trying not to knock out all the air possible. And if you've ever made macarons, you understand that almond flour is a little difficult to work with, but if you're just patient with it, nice and slow, let the mixture kind of mix without you forcing it, it kind of gets there. So still plenty of air inside. I'm not squishing it and kind of lifting it up and letting it homogenize on its own. So what you're going to do is you're going to put that into a pie pan or something of that sort. I like to use disposable aluminum containers because if it sticks or makes a mess, I don't have to clean anything. I'm kind of lazy that way. If you're using a pie tin, it's best to grease the pie tin, a little bit of flour, or put down some kind of liner. We're going to bake our cake at 350 for about 30 minutes. And while we're doing that, we're going to make a topping for the cake. Just added in 4 ounces of butter. We're going to let that melt in our pan so we can add in our brown sugar, about a half cup, which does seem like a lot. but it is just a topping. You can always add less if you want. I'm going to add in some of the cinnamon. I use a dark brown sugar. I like the flavor. I like strong flavors. Light brown sugar is probably going to be just as good, especially with the cinnamon flavor you add in. I've chopped up some pecans. I'm going to add those in. I cut my apples into slices. You can do cubes. It doesn't really matter. It's the aesthetic of it. These slices, as I stir them, they're going to break apart. It's going to give a nice rustic feel. As the apples start to cook, it's releasing its juices. You know, the brown sugar, butter, pecan mixture is starting to get more wet. If it was too wet in the beginning, it would turn into a soup at this point. Alright, so we're just going to take this off the heat now, let it cool down a little bit. So this is a little hot. We gotta let it cool before we put the topping on. Now that it's cooled a little bit, we're gonna go ahead and put some of our topping on. The topping itself is cooled down a good bit, but it's nice and syrupy from that extra moisture from the apples. It gives it just that rustic look, you know, nothing fancy. Again, I'm not a pro chef or nothing, but I think it looks good. And really it's about the taste, right? Is it any good? Cuts easy with a fork. Crumbles a little bit. No, it's very easy to eat. It's moist. I'd say a little stodgy, but that's almond flour. The sweetness of the topping really adds to it because the cake itself isn't very sweet. So if you don't want a very sweet dish, just don't add the topping or add something else. I think it's a success though. Turned out pretty good. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.